On a crisp autumn afternoon, the piercing wail of a fire alarm shattered the tranquility of a quiet neighborhood, signaling an emergency that demanded immediate action. For veteran firefighter Mark, it was a familiar sound, yet one that always sent a jolt of adrenaline through his veins. An urgent call crackled over the radio, reporting a blaze tearing through an old, forgotten house on the outskirts of town, a place long surrendered to decay and neglect. Racing against the relentless march of time, Mark and his team sped towards the scene, their fire engine a crimson blur against the suburban landscape. As they arrived, thick, acrid smoke billowed from the skeletal frame of the building, a menacing cloud that painted the clear sky with shades of gray and black. Unaware of the fragile lives clinging to existence within the inferno, Mark prepared to face the roaring beast head-on, his every instinct focused on the dangerous task that lay before him. The air grew heavy and hot as he approached the structure, the roar of the fire a deafening symphony of destruction. With his gear secured and his resolve firm, he breached the crumbling doorway and plunged into the smoke-filled interior. The world outside vanished, replaced by a suffocating, disorienting haze that stung his eyes and choked his lungs. Visibility was almost non-existent, with the thick smoke swirling like a living entity, obscuring everything more than a few feet away. Each step was a calculated risk, the floorboards groaning under his weight, threatening to give way at any moment. The intense heat radiated through his protective suit, a constant reminder of the immense danger that surrounded him. Through the oppressive gloom, the ghostly silhouettes of dilapidated furniture and debris appeared and disappeared, creating a treacherous maze within the burning labyrinth. It was in this chaotic environment that a faint, almost imperceptible sound cut through the noise of the fire, a desperate, high-pitched cry that tugged at his heart. Following the sound, he moved deeper into the inferno, his training guiding him through the treacherous conditions. Through a momentary parting in the thick, black haze, he saw a sight that stopped him in his tracks. There, huddled in a corner and illuminated by the hellish orange glow of the encroaching flames, was a desperate mother cat, her fur singed and her eyes wide with terror and pleading. She was frantically nudging a small pile of blankets, her movements frantic as she tried to shield her tiny newborn kittens from the rapidly advancing fire. Her meows were a gut-wrenching mix of fear for her own life and an overwhelming maternal instinct to protect her young. In that instant, the abandoned house was no longer just a structure. It was a nursery on the brink of obliteration. The mother cat's eyes, filled with a raw and powerful plea, locked onto Mark's, a silent communication of shared desperation that transcended species. Without a moment's hesitation, Mark knew what he had to do. The mission to save property faded into the background, replaced by an urgent primal need to save these innocent lives. Ignoring the growing risk of a ceiling collapse and the searing heat that was becoming almost unbearable, he approached the corner where the feline family was trapped. The mother cat, sensing his gentle intent, did not flee. Instead, she watched with anxious eyes as he carefully knelt down, his large, gloved hands moving with a surgeon's precision. He gently began lifting the fragile, squirming creatures from the smoldering blankets, their tiny bodies almost weightless in his grasp. The suffocating smoke was thickening with every passing second, and time was a luxury he did not have. He worked with a focused intensity, driven by the hope of getting them all to safety, a race against the destructive power of the flames. One by one, he cradled the tiny kittens, but the harsh reality of their situation quickly became devastatingly clear. The intense heat and smoke inhalation had already taken a terrible toll on their delicate bodies. The first kitten he lifted was heartbreakingly still, its life extinguished before it had even truly begun. A wave of sorrow washed over him, but he pushed it aside, his focus remaining on the others. He reached for the next, and then the next, but the tragedy repeated itself. One by one, the fragile creatures slipped from his grasp, their tiny flames of life already snuffed out by the unforgiving inferno. Heartbreak struck him with the force of a physical blow as the grim reality set in. Despite his best efforts, only one had survived. The weight of the loss was immense, a heavy burden on his soul as he looked at the small, helpless lives he had been unable to save. In the midst of the smoke and sorrow, a flicker of movement caught his eye. The last kitten, the sole survivor of the litter, stirred weakly in his palm. It was a tiny scrap of life, its fur matted with soot, its cries barely a whisper. Holding the tiny survivor close to his chest, the firefighter's heart ached with a profound sense of grief for the others, yet a spark of hope was ignited by the resilient life he now held. The kitten was a fragile symbol of survival against all odds, a testament to the enduring will to live. As the flames licked the walls around them, casting dancing shadows across the scene of tragedy and hope, Mark knew he had to get this little one out. He gently placed the kitten inside his heavy firefighter's jacket, creating a warm, dark sanctuary to shield it from the cold air and the terrifying sights and sounds of the fire. Outside, the chaos of the emergency response continued. Paramedics and fellow firefighters worked tirelessly, their coordinated efforts finally extinguishing the last of the blaze, leaving behind a charred and smoldering shell. But for Mark, his most important mission was already complete. He emerged from the blackened doorway, the tiny, precious cargo held safely against his heart. As he removed his helmet and took a deep breath of clean, cool air, the kitten, weak but undeniably alive, began to purr softly. It was a small, gentle vibration, a quiet rumble of contentment and trust that felt like a miracle amidst the devastation. The sound, so full of life, resonated deep within him, a powerful counterpoint to the silence of the loss he had just witnessed. That evening, as the adrenaline faded and the emotional weight of the day settled in, the firefighter decided to name the tiny orange kitten Phoenix, a fitting tribute to its incredible resilience and its rise from the ashes of tragedy. The story of the heroic rescue and the heartbreaking loss spread quickly through the community and beyond, touching the hearts of everyone who heard it. People were moved by the firefighter's selfless courage and his profound compassion in the face of such overwhelming danger. But the story didn't end with the rescue. Mark, whose heart had been captured by the tiny creature he had saved, couldn't bear the thought of handing Phoenix over to a shelter. He officially adopted the kitten, giving it a forever home filled with love and safety. Phoenix, with its bright, curious eyes and playful spirit, became a constant presence at the fire station, a beloved mascot who brought joy and comfort to the entire team. This story shows that even in moments of devastating loss and unimaginable heartbreak, the enduring power of courage and compassion can create a new beginning, forging a bond that heals and restores faith in the goodness of the world. Phoenix's tiny paws left big, indelible imprints on the firefighter's life and on the hearts of his entire community, proving that hope, resilience, and love often come in the most fragile and unexpected forms.